awkward like intro that I'm still trying to figure out. Like, do I do an intro or do I just roll into it? Everyone, this
Oh
is Kimberly
yeah.
DeCray. She is Kim's Protein Kitchen on Instagram, and my family loves her stuff. And so here we are. What's up, Kim? Burley?
That's so cool. Wait, so are we recording now?
Yeah, we're recording now.
Okay.
Yeah, now we're
Sorry.
doing it. Yeah.
Okay, so this is for real. Well, I know podcasts are like casual, so I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I can just
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This is in
Yeah.
my bedroom, actually. I'm looking like at my bed. So,
Oh, that's a cool. I like it. I like the lighting, the
yeah,
vibe.
thanks.
This is
Thanks.
not
We
my
try.
bedroom.
What do you, is that your office? Like office
Yeah.
office?
Yeah,
What do you,
I work remote, so this is my side and then this is my husband's side, so he just faces it.
whoa,
But he
two
doesn't work
monitors.
Yeah, but he doesn't work remote. He just like whenever he does have to work from home, he'll sit there, but for the most part I'm just remote and then he's in the office. But yeah, it's nice having an office. I hadn't really had my own office before we got this house. I actually used to go into the office, so now I get to work
Oh,
remote.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something nice about having an actual space for work where you're not like roaming around the house like I'll sit at the kitchen table or
Yes.
in the living room. It's like I don't really get stuff done like that.
I
I need to be like
know.
in my office.
Yeah, and then when I used to have my desk in my bedroom and I like during COVID when I worked remote, I just kept looking at my bed. I was like, I just want to lay down. It was a
I,
distraction.
it's got to be so hard.
Oh yeah, it's so hard. Yeah,
What do you do for work?
I work in marketing. I do like all of the marketing for a financial advising company. I do like just like the Instagram. I run his YouTube channel, just all that stuff. So I like we do stuff on like all different platforms too. He even has like a Twitter or not Twitter. Yeah, he does have a Twitter too. So
Whoa.
yeah, marketing, which I think is what helped me in with my Instagram. You found me on my baking Instagram because this is what I do for him. So I was like, it gives me like I feel like I kind of understand it a little bit.
Yeah, how long have you been doing marketing?
Uh, well, it's kind of funny. I went to school for economics and then so that was like my bachelor's and then I started working in IT at like this giant door company for a while and then on the side I was selling stuff on Amazon just for fun. You know how you can like do physical.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just doing it for fun. I was like, oh, this is a cool thing to do. And then I realized that I really liked marketing. So then I ended up getting a job in marketing. And then the next, like, I guess this was, I guess I could say I've been doing it for like 6 years, marketing. But I just
Oh,
kind of fell
cool.
into it because I liked it and it was like a hobby. So,
Oh, that's cool. How
yeah.
is it hard for you to like keep up with, I guess, trends on social media or even on people's websites that you have to,
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know, like what are your thoughts on
Yes. Oh
if
yeah,
like
it is hard because a lot of the platforms, as a lot of people know, the algorithm is always changing and it can be very frustrating. And like a lot of people describe it as an emotional roller coaster because you'll feel like you're starting to figure it out, and then the platform changes the algorithm, and then you're just like you like have not like you just fail. Like you'll have like a complete fail of a video or whatever kind of advertising or content you put out. So yeah, it can be very frustrating. Some people, it's not meant for everybody.
yeah, how do you navigate that? Because I have like a YouTube channel for this show, but I also started one,
Mhm.
and it's been like 4 years ago now, maybe five, and
Oh,
it's
really?
just veteran interviews, and my very first video like went viral, and then it's
Uh,
hard to not be like trying to nitpick like, well, what was it that made it, and I'm gonna make
yes.
this, so it's just like that, but I think
Yeah.
that's just taking away from what like the authenticity of what it
Yeah.
is that you're making.
It
So
is.
how do you navigate that?
It is so hard, and it is something that I've been trying to navigate, like especially with the company I work for, because he has. So I run a YouTube channel for him, and the and his videos are obviously very different from my baking videos. He's talking about like he's talking about the market update for like what's happening in the economy and everything. And so it's like it's very formal and it's just completely different and I haven't quite figured it out, but we had a few videos in a row get 1,000 like thousands of views. I guess like 1,000 to 2,000
Some,
views. But that's a big deal on YouTube for a long form
yes,
video. Yeah, you get a bit of watch hours from that. But then like immediately after that, we had like 38 views on a long video that took me out. It took me
oh,
hours to edit it. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know how you navigate it. You just keep going, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
we'll watch them and like see like what we could do better, but sometimes it's just so hard to figure out what it is. Like, is it the thumbnail? Is it just, was it that weekend because it was also the Super Bowl weekend? I'm like, maybe people were just not interested as much in watching about finances because it was the Super Bowl. It's very hard.
yeah.
So,
I think that the keep going thing is it for me because I don't know.
yeah.
You see so many people just quit doing a podcast or putting out content, and I get it because it bums them out. It's like I worked so hours to edit this video, and I have 100 views. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
But
Yes. It's
I
so
do
hard.
this because I enjoy having conversations with new people, and
I know
I
that's
think if
cool.
you,
Like,
yeah, if you do it from that angle, yeah.
when did you start getting into like podcasts?
Oh man, like last fall, I guess this would be episode I think 25, and I try to do one a week, and it
Oh,
started with just so I wrote a book, and then that
cool.
kind of got me into like, oh, I have this creative thing. I like writing. It helps my brain, I think, a little bit. So my wife and I bought a setup and started having on our friends, and then
That's
that
awesome.
started branching out to like I only have so many friends, so I need to like reach out to people I
Yeah,
find interesting. So yeah, that's
I
where
would
we're at.
let you reach out. That's awesome.
Yeah, me too. It's so crazy seeing you're the second CrossFit person I interviewed. Pat Barber was on last week. And
Oh,
so it's kind of like a full circle moment because I was a CrossFit coach for maybe 6 years.
oh, you
Um,
were? I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. I got out of the army in 2012 and
Okay.
then started coaching CrossFit in 2013 and did it until, so I guess 5 years, 2018. Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea. That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. And you're a games athlete, so first games athlete, well, Pat, but this is cool.
Oh, so Pat went to the games.
Yeah, he was like original,
Oh,
like teams games athlete. So yeah.
oh,
And
okay,
maybe
cool.
individual too. Yeah, what years did you go?
I went in 2021 and 2022. So not just every year except last year. I mean, not every year
Wow.
before last. Yeah.
And you, not to be super creep, but on your page, you have this cool video of kind of a little bit of your story. When did you tear your ACL and uh, go through all of that?
Oh, so that happened literally, I guess I tore it around 2019. This was my third time I've torn it. I've torn it multiple times, but the most recent time was in 2019, and then I had the surgery in 2020. So early, like it was really bizarre because it was right before COVID or right when all of that was happening. So it was
Yeah.
like, and I had gotten an infection from the surgery. That's why it was so horrible because it was an infection is really serious. It just messes up your body, especially all the antibiotics they give you. Like I lost all my hair and like I had skin issues and I had no energy and I was bedridden for a while. So coming back from that was really hard, but then it was just funny because then after I was coming back, then all the gyms were closing down because of COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah, but what's crazy is that I had the surgery in, yeah, January, or it was around January, February of 2020, and then I ended up going to the games exactly, well, it was that next season. So I got better throughout 2020, and then it was 2021 was when I went to the games. So I was very motivated, I guess.
Yeah. Wow. Were you training when you tore it that last time? Was your goal to make it to the CrossFit Games?
it's funny. I actually didn't think it was possible because that I don't. They had all these changes with CrossFit, and they took away team and all that stuff, and they were making it so that you had to be like number one in the country to like
Oh
qualify.
yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, well, okay, I don't know if I'll ever go to the games now. But then they like changed the rules again and then made it so that and this was all like, I mean, I had it in my head I wanted to come back and do something in CrossFit. I was like determined, but I also didn't know what I was going to do. And then amidst all this, they changed the rules. And as I was recovering, one of my teammates, or he was my future teammate, but a guy from my gym who he was the only one who had gone to the games, and he owns the gym, but he came up to me and he's like, hey, I think they're changing the rules back to team and we should bring a team to the games. And I was like, are you serious? I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, it was really like it meant a lot to me that he believed in me at the time because I wasn't fully recovered from my everything I'd gone through, but he still approached me and was like, we need to be on a team and go to the games. They're changing the rules back. And then I was like full like that's all I could think about. I was like I'm so determined. I'm like we have to do this. So,
Wow. And you
yeah.
made it back in a year. That's still
Yeah.
so crazy to me, like a full ACL and your infection too. Like that probably
Yeah.
set you back a
I
while, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, I mean it was like if you've seen the pictures, like it was like my leg lost all of its muscle and everything. Like it completely atrophied. I looked like a different person, but I think it was just I was just so determined. And I don't know if you saw, but one of my posts I put, and it's kind of funny talking about this stuff, but I don't care anymore. I was in a very toxic relationship at the time, and I feel like that was part of what like made me
Mm.
it was that combined with everything my body went through, and I was like just determined to like be a stronger person just in general, like on the inside and out. So I was like, F this, I'm just gonna do it all.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, man, what a crazy time too. Like COVID was happening, so
I
gyms
know
were shutting down.
everything is so crazy, and they're changing all the rules of CrossFit constantly, and it's just like, what is going on?
Was your mindset actually just, I know that I'm a better version of what I am right now, so just kind of F everything, like let's
Yeah.
become that best version?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like because I always felt like I don't know, I could handle adversity kind of well. I was like, oh, I can come back. Like I was always I feel like because I've torn my ACL before and I was like, I know I can make a comeback or I don't know what it's kind of like my mindset of like I like a challenge. Maybe that's what it is. So it was like that mixed with I wasn't proud of who I had been when I was like in that relationship. So I was like, oh, now I really have to I have to make up for a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did you tear them previously? CrossFit related training or just,
So the first time was soccer, and then this was all like my senior year of high school, so it was a long time ago. But it was soccer, and then track, but it was very close together. Those two were like back to back tears. So, um,
man?
yeah, and so I was never able to play soccer again, which really sucked because I would try to play it, but then I could feel it wasn't. I was like, I'm gonna tear it again. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Is that when you got into CrossFit? Was kind of after you realized I can't really play soccer anymore?
Oh, so what happened was in high school, like my whole goal was to play soccer in college. Soccer was like the love of my life. And then that happened with my ACL. And I was like, well, I guess I got to do something else in college. So then I started doing track. And I did tear it from track, but that was mainly me being stupid because I wasn't fully recovered from the first ACL tear. So I jumped off of it too early. And so I had to get the surgery again. And then I just like tried to get a scholarship to run track in college, and I only had a few months, so I got like a very small scholarship. But then I ended up doing track for 4 years at a school in Miami called FIU. I don't know if
Oh
you,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, Florida International, right?
yeah, Florida National, yeah.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah, so I did that, and then it was when I graduated was when I started doing CrossFit. So
Got
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
What was the recovery difference like between when you were like 18 versus, in 2020? Was there a big, could you feel a difference, or was it just like,
Oh,
oh, I know what to do?
well, because in 2020 was when I had the infection, so the recovery was like so different. Like it was like a completely different experience because when I first had this surgery in 2020, I was expecting it to go like how it did in 2018, where I was like, okay, it's really not like that intense. Like, yeah, you have to figure out how to like use your knee again and you can't do side to side stuff for a while. I mean, yes, it's ACL surgery, but to me it wasn't
Yeah.
like that bad. And then but in 2020 when I had this surgery, it was like I was like, this is weird. It's not really, it doesn't feel the same as when I first had it. And I was really tired and I had no appetite. And then my knee started to get really big, like huge. Like it started blowing up like a balloon. And my mom and like my friends would look at it and they're like, something's not right. And then my mom took me to the ER, and the lady that was working the ER that day was like, you're fine. She's like, I don't want you coming back here unless your leg is as red as this. And she points to like some red thing on the wall or something. And we're like, uh,
Great.
yeah. So I was like pissed at my mom because I told you I was fine. And I was like, I'm fine. Because I was mad that she brought me there to begin with, but they could sense that something wasn't right. And then like a week goes by or something, and I think it was like someone's mom, my friend's mom was like, you need to call your doctor. You are not okay. she like
Oh
took my
man.
she like took my temperature, and then the doctor was like, come back to Florida right now. And he like or my surgeon, and he because or not to Florida, sorry, to Gainesville. This all happened in Gainesville, and I was living in Tampa. So
Yeah.
the surgery took place at Shands in Gainesville. It's like a really good hospital. So anyway, they like drove me over there, and then he like went in, or he took some like fluid out of my knee. He's like, yeah, it's infected. He's like, if you didn't do something about this, you wouldn't have survived.
Oh, great. Thanks, lady in the ER.
Right? I know, and I did
God.
this. I know that was the whole thing. Is I was like, damn, that freaking lady. And I was like, I was maybe less mad at my mom. I felt so bad. I was mad at her for taking me there, but she was right. Like,
Yeah.
she could see something that I was like, I'm just tired. Leave me alone. And I don't know, I was not myself at all. But the lady, I wish I tried to write like an appeal, or what's it called? I tried to write. There's like a way to. I mean, it was a way to not include a lawyer, because if I had to get a lawyer involved, it would have cost
Oh
so.
yeah.
Yeah, I tried to write something, and then the I don't know, they didn't approve it or something. I was so mad. I
Oh
like sent it
man.
in the mail and everything. I was like, because that it costs a lot of money, the hospital bills and everything. It
Yeah, dude.
was so much
That's
money, and I'm like,
crazy.
yeah, and I'm like, if it could have been stopped then and there when we first went, and then she made me feel stupid for going there. So
Yeah, like come on.
yeah,
Could have saved a lot of time. So how long
yeah.
from surgery you get through the infection were you kind of back in a CrossFit gym? I'm sure you had to
Um,
go through pretty crazy rehab to learn to kind of walk again, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
the rehab was really intense because the infection, and then the guy that was there, it was sorry, my physical therapist, he was like, your knee may not ever be the same again, and he like warned me. He's like, you might not be able to fully bend it again or fully straighten it because you had an infection, and that's very serious. And I was like, okay, and I just like kind of was like, whatever. I'm like, I'm not listening to that,
Yeah.
and yeah, and so I just went through this. I went through it was similar, but obviously way more. I mean, I can't say it was similar to the first rehab. It was way slower. I had, I had like the smallest like step up thing to step up onto. And then like I don't know, it was like every few days we'd increase it by an inch, but it was very, very slow. And then squatting, like I couldn't even squat like a quarter squat. Like it was like I
Oh
would hold
man.
on to a table. Yeah, I would like hold on to a table and like bend my knees a little, and that was me squatting. So that was like my rehab for a while. But
Wow.
yeah, it was super slow, and they gave me a walker. Oh, why did I have a walker? Oh, I had a walker because I had a pick line. I had a PICC line with the antibiotics going going into my vein, into my arm. So it was like this bag hanging from my arm. Oh, that was the worst. I did not like that, having something in my body for like 3 weeks, like a tube going through, like,
Yeah.
yeah. So because I had that, I couldn't use, what is it called? Crutches, because that's right where your vein is,
Oh,
or so.
yeah.
So then I had to use a walker, and I'm like, wow, now I really feel like I just don't feel fit, or not fit. What's the word? I just didn't feel like myself.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
crazy to think. You went from Walker to the CrossFit Games in less than a year. Like
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. That's crazy to me.
That's cool. I mean, I guess I haven't really heard that yet either, but I have heard a lot of crazy CrossFit stories, but maybe mine is unique.
And then was one day it just clicked like, oh wow, I can actually like squat to a box now unassisted, and then oh, I guess I can do maybe a back squat or a goblet squat or something. Did it
Yeah.
happen kind of quickly?
Uh, oh man, I mean, I feel like once I got over that stage of doing the really slow squats and the slow step ups, like once I got over that, I think it started to happen more quickly because I was like trying to speed it up. I was adding
Yeah.
more. I would add weight to my squats, and I would do a lot of single leg. Like it was just so much single leg stuff. But I feel like that's so good to do. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, and then when you go back to doing like just a regular squat, it's like, oh, well, I've been doing single leg stuff, so this isn't really that hard. But yeah, I would say it was kind of quick, I guess. Yeah, because my friend and I did a competition in, oh gosh, was it October? It was like October or November. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I had the surgery in January, February, around that time. And so, yeah, it was, I guess, 8 months later that we did a competition together. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. I guess we'll find out. And she was like, are you sure?
Wow.
Yeah. But I felt back to normal almost about then. So yeah, it was around like September, like fall of that year. I felt almost back to my old self. And I part of me just thinks it was just pure like adrenaline and just like I just like drive or
Yeah.
something.
Did you have a lot of muscle memory, you think, from, all the high school stuff, Olympic
Oh
lifting
yeah.
and
Yeah, if you do like once you do CrossFit, well, I mean, you've done it. I feel like once you do it for a while, you remember how to do that, like the chest bar pull-ups and like all
yeah.
those movements. But I can say like certain things I felt like I just didn't get better at, like box jumps. I used to love box jumps. It was like I loved them because I was very good on like I was like I guess athletic in that way. Like I was good on my feet. But then after that last surgery, I'm not good at box jumps anymore. I'm not good at that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm okay at it. I can do it, but I'm not like it's not my favorite and it gasses me. And it's like before it was like if I had any sort of box jumps, I was like, "Oh, I'm going to pass these people." But
Do you just not feel springy
yeah,
or
I don't
just
feel comfortable, or my knee just doesn't actually my knee doesn't feel the same, and I don't know if it ever will. And then also like certain squatting movements bother it, and people say I don't always get parallel, or I'm shifting to my right side. I favor
Mm,
my side a lot. So yeah, it's funny, like actually now and well, even then too, a lot of things just weren't the same, but I was able to get everything else pretty good. But and then even like my open scores weren't as good anymore. I was like, I just like my scores and that wasn't as good, but I could perform still. Like I could like on the
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it was like a fear thing because like I don't know, the open did have like some box stuff. I'm not sure what it is, but I just like it's like I wasn't as aggressive in certain ways. I wasn't as aggressive as I used to be. I used to just be like reckless, and then I wasn't as reckless after that. So
Was that a weird kind of dichotomy in your head where up here you wanted to go, super hard and be reckless, but your body
yeah,
just kind of wouldn't let you almost. That's got to be weird.
I feel like it happens to a lot of people after they have injuries. It kind of changes you. I mean, sometimes it makes you smarter because you start to like actually like care to your body. Like you start doing things that are good for your body. And so sometimes it can be a good thing, but then in other ways it gives you that fear factor like in the back of your head like, "Oh, this has happened to me before. I don't want it to happen again." And it makes you a little more cautious. So it can be a good thing and a bad thing because like I do miss having that just like fearless, reckless side of me because that's what made me really good at certain things. But then it also, in some ways, it also made me like I wasn't as smart when I approached certain workouts because I was like, I'm just gonna go all out, and then it's like, okay, that
Yeah.
well, yeah, but it went well in some open workouts, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. But it can be a good thing and a bad thing, I think. Definitely after having injuries, it changes you for sure, like just mentally and physically.
Yeah. What did it feel like that first year at the games after a pretty gnarly year leading up to that, where you just like,
Oh my
this is
gosh.
crazy?
It was surreal. It was so surreal because that was always my dream ever since I saw what CrossFit was like 10 years ago. I was like, I want to go to that place. I want to go to the games and just being there was like this crazy feeling. I was like, I'm actually here. And it was like full blown like appreciation of just like this actually happened. Like this is like someone pinched me. Like it was all of that. Like this is a dream come true. So
Man.
yeah, it was really cool, and it was something, and it definitely felt good after everything that I had been through. I was like, I can't believe I'm here. But then there's also this part of you that's like, do I deserve to be here? And that was also in the back of
Mm.
my head too, because I'm like, why am I on the team? I just did all this. I just went through all this stuff. There's other girls that haven't that are at the gym that haven't gone through this, and do I deserve? So there's like this you get that in your head too of like, oh, I got to prove myself. I have to prove that I deserve to be here. So then it's never like perfect. I feel like there's at least with me, I'm always scared of something going wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Were
Or,
you kind of tentative the first maybe couple of workouts because of your knee, or were you at that
um,
point like in a good spot?
oh gosh, the first few workouts, I'm like trying to think, is that this was the first year going there? Yeah, I think there were some workouts I might have held back like a little bit. Yeah, there were a few that I felt like I held back, but as the weekend went on, I felt like I got better. There was a workout that had like a quick like sprinting involved, and that one was great. That one was awesome. But I think the team in general, we just didn't do as well the first day because we were just like, oh my gosh, like we were just in shock. Like, what are we doing here? So in general, yeah. And but as the weekend went on, we were like, oh, okay, like we deserve to be here. And as a team, I think we all just got better. And then I definitely noticed I got more comfortable being out there, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So
That's super cool. Was there any workouts that first year that surprised you? Like, oh, this somehow is different than just the workouts we did leading up training in the gym.
uh, yeah, the first one that we did was the one that surprised all of us. Like it was awful because it was the big bobsled. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you know what I'm talking about, the big bobsled. We started pushing it. I think all of us in our head were like, "Oh my gosh," because we had never pushed that before. We practiced with someone's car, which was super easy because it just rolled on the ground, like
Yeah.
no friction. And so when we got out there, because we practiced the same workout, but we did it with someone's car. So it was a completely different feeling. And I think like the within the first few pushes, we were all like, uh-oh. And I could just see the look on like my teammates' faces and even my face. What are we doing here?
Oh man.
Yeah, so that workout we did not do well in at all, but we were able to make it to top 20 that year, so we made the cuts because they did
Oh,
a few
awesome.
here. Yeah. Yeah, so that was cool. We were 16th that year. The year after, I think we were 20 something, but that year we came back even though we were pretty low in that workout. We came back and did well in the other workouts, so that was pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's awesome.
Yeah, but
And
that one
then
threw us off. What?
what I'm assuming you kind of went on a diet for lack of a better term. You were eating a certain type of way leading up to the games. Did you have like a reward meal planned out for after the games? Like, oh, I can't wait to get this.
That's so funny. That's a really good question. I don't know. Probably like it was probably ice cream or something. Yeah. I don't know if
Classic.
it's specific, just some rich like ice cream. Yeah. I know like where a lot of people at the gym are always trying to get me to eat more calories, so I feel like I was always eating whatever I wanted anyway because they said that I didn't eat enough. So I don't know. I guess I didn't crave anything because I felt like I could eat anything anyway. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you still training to go back to the games now?
So, funny thing is, when my husband and I moved here to North Carolina, so this happened like 8 months ago, and it actually happened in the middle of the season of last year. And this was like why my team, I think it's part of why my team didn't make it last year. We got 13th in top 10, makes it to the games now. Yeah, and we were like one of those teams on the edge or whatever. But I was in the middle of moving when all of this happened. So we were training. I'd fly back and forth. I was like flying to Florida to train with them. And I was
Dang.
so unmotivated too. My head was not in it. And they like convinced me to be on the team. I was like, you guys, I just don't feel it this year. Like, and it was also because my grandma had just passed away. I was like, I don't have and I just didn't want it. But anyway, so I ended up doing it anyway. We got 13th. We didn't make it to the games, but then I joined a gym here called CrossFit 12 State, and it's like a very pretty popular gym in North Carolina. And there's a few popular people like games athletes that have gone to the games from this gym. Um, Whitney Jalen, she won the 35 and up, 35
Oh,
to
dang.
yeah, she won it 2 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago. And then Shelby Neal, she got 16th in the world at the games this year. So
That's
she's
cool.
yeah. So, but the cool thing is this gym has never sent a team. They've only had individuals, and there's a few guys from the gym that are really good. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like we got some more individual guys. And the coaches came up to me and they're like, they don't want to go individual, Kimberly. They want to go to the games. Would you be willing to, or no, sorry. They want to go team. I don't know if we'll make it to the games, but they're like, they don't want to go individual. They want to do team. They're like, would you be willing to do that? And I was like, oh gosh. I was like, I wasn't been training because I hadn't really been like I mean I've been working out like I go into the gym a few times but I hadn't been training hardcore, and so when they asked me that I thought about it and I was like, you know what, it would be really cool to like bring a gym for the first time ever to a team, whether we go semifinals or whatever, but it would be cool to like make that happen. So yes, we are training.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I'm hoping we can make semifinals. It could be close since they cut it to top 30, but we'll see.
Wow, that's awesome. The Open starts very soon, right?
Oh my gosh, I know. And I was panicking about it when I had my food poisoning.
Oh, yeah.
I was just starting to get like in shape again, and then this happens.
Yeah. How are you been feeling with like, kind of just working
Like
out like a normal person and now like, oh, I have to like step it
it's
up.
Yeah, it's definitely a change, but I think that the working out as like a normal person helped me with like my baking Instagram because or the one you the my kids
Yeah.
kitchen, because I was able to put my shoes in what people like are going through, like people who aren't competitive athletes, just like, people that work out just to work out. And I was like, oh, okay, I can see like why, what their struggles are and what's hard and how it's hard to balance eating and working out. And it is a struggle to like get in the right amount of like calories and everything that and to balance everything um, and look the way you want to look. It's hard. I mean, obviously, if you're a professional athlete, that's all you're doing is working out. So you don't have to worry as much about like, oh, do I look?
Yes,
Yeah, but if you're not a professional athlete, you're working out for like 30 minutes to an hour a day, it's a completely different story. Like you have to like struggle to like meet those, body goals and everything. I mean, I don't know about struggle, but yeah, you have to really think about it. And it just
you
like
do.
yeah, and it put me in a completely different mindset. And I think that's part of why I was inspired to like help people and like write these recipes. And so that was actually really good. I'm glad that I took all this time to not train and like experience that because I feel like the last 10 years I've just been like CrossFit, CrossFit, CrossFit.
Yeah,
And you're in your world,
that's
you can't relate to people. Like you just can't because you're
yes.
not as CrossFit. Yeah.
It's at least for me, whenever I was training like that, I mean, that was my full-time thing. Of just, oh,
Yeah.
you just train 2 or 3 hours a day or twice a day. I'm just up at the gym.
Hmm.
Don't really have
Yeah.
to, like, yeah, you worry about what you're eating, but not like
Yeah.
that. But
I know.
switching to, I'm a stay-at-home dad now. I work out, 45 minutes a morning. And it's
Oh,
like, oh, I have to really get to know myself to know what I actually need instead of just throwing anything and everything. So what you were
yes.
saying about like taking that
Yes.
time, I think is important for people
Yeah.
to like, it's not the same as it was before, but that's okay. And it's just an
Hmm.
opportunity to get to know yourself and know what your body actually needs and wants.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think it's definitely good, especially if, you want to understand other people and stuff. And I was just in my own world for so long. And I mean, how you said you did CrossFit for 6 years, or how long did you do it for?
Yeah. Yeah. I coached it for like 6 years.
Okay. Yeah. So a while.
Yeah, but you're
Yeah.
right. It got to the point where it's just like it was hard for me to have empathy for anyone, just the
Yeah.
regular member coming in. I'm like, dude, why don't you eat like this, and why don't you fill in
Yeah.
the blank? Which is so ridiculous of me to think that, but
I
you just
know,
get
but
stuck in your own world, like you
you
said.
do. I'm like, why aren't these people just like, I don't get why it's so hard for them. It's like, I feel so ignorant. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes,
yeah. And it's like, yeah, you can eat whatever you want if you're training for 2 hours plus a day or, the amount that I was training for, probably you were training for. Like, you can just eat whatever you want and do whatever you want. But, once life happens, you have a kid, you don't have that kind of time. It's like,
yeah,
yeah. It's like, oh, I can see why this is hard, why it's hard for people to, stay in shape. It's like just because I thought it was easy doesn't mean that it actually is easy. I was just in a different time in my life where I had the time to do that stuff.
yeah.
And then when
What was the very
priorities shift,
first?
yeah.
Yes. What was the very first protein treat that you made that was like, oh, I should probably just post this on Instagram? Like, what was the first one?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know if about the very first one. Oh, it might have been. One of the ones that I really liked that was like inspiring to me was these protein Rice Krispies, which is funny because when I look back, I'm like, oh, the macros aren't really as good as what I post now. But I just thought it was so cool. I was like, wait, I can make Rice Krispies and add protein to this and not even taste the protein. Like, I thought it was
Awesome.
so, yeah. I was like, this is so cool. Like, why has no one showed me this? Because
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, what the heck? I've been eating like this junk all my life, and you can make stuff like this. Like it blew
It,
my mind. I literally blew my mind. So I think it was like that was one of the first ones that just like shocked me. And then I don't know about I made some cookies. I made a bunch of cookies that I was like, what? I can make cookies out of this. But obviously you can add protein and I made like protein cookies. But yeah, I like and all growing up, I had issues with like binging hard on like really bad stuff. So are you still there? It's like
yeah.
fuzzy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still here. It was weird
Yeah.
for a second.
So yeah, I don't know why I was doing that. But yeah, so it was just like when I discovered that it like completely blew my mind. Oh shoot, my phone battery's at 3%. Let me see if I can find a charger.
Nice.
Sorry.
What was Did that? Oh, it's fine. Did that help your kind of, I guess, relationship with food from a binging standpoint when you realize like, oh, if I just make this kind of like a
Yes.
simple, because that's what I like about your stuff is just it's simple
Yes.
ingredients with protein in there. And it's like, oh, this is very nutritious and nourishing for me. And it's,
Yes. Oh my
I
gosh.
guess, easier on my mind almost.
Yes, I then that's exactly what it did for me, and I think that's why I'm like so passionate about like making it all the time. And even though I get some haters, I'm just like whatever. Like this has literally saved my like saved me and like my relationship with food because like you said, yeah, it changes your perspective and it changes like the way you feel when you eat it. And I feel like before, if I were to eat like like a cookie or some sweets or something, I would, I loved it because I love sweets. I have a sweet tooth, but I always like felt some sort of like guilt. And I know you shouldn't feel that way, but it was like I also just physically didn't feel good when I ate it. I was like my stomach would hurt and I just like I liked it so much, so I'd probably overeat it. I'm just one of those people that overeats things,
Yep.
but yeah, and then when I like discovered you could make it like healthy but also still kind of taste like almost just like the same thing, like you can make it taste like a dessert. I was like it completely changed my relationship with food, and it made me feel like what's the word, like I wasn't like I felt like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It made me feel like not guilty for eating desserts, I guess. But more like I guess I was just so inspired because I was like, wait, so I can make something that's actually like beneficial to me. It's not gonna make me feel bad. It's not gonna like bring me down, or it's not gonna like set me backwards or whatever, especially when it comes to fitness. Like I always felt like it was like bringing me back. I'm like, oh, I just ate all this like fat and all this stuff, and it's just not gonna feel good in the gym, and it's gonna, all that stuff. And so I was like, wait, so I can make something that tastes really good just like that, but it doesn't do all that stuff, and then I don't feel bad. Like, yeah, it definitely changed my relationship with food, and it also like changed my taste buds. Like I feel like I don't need sweets as much because I've over time
Mm.
just I don't yeah, it's like I've gotten used to eating things that aren't overly sugary. And I think that's another thing in our society, like just in general, like a lot of things at the store are just overly sugar. There's so
Yes.
much sugar at it. Yeah. And then it makes us think we need to eat that much, and we don't really need to. But it's like how they sell that stuff. The companies are pushing all these like, oh, really like addictive, sugary things. And yeah, so making it like my own and making it like healthier changed even my taste buds. I was like, I don't even need that sugar anymore. It's too
Yeah, I'm
much.
with you. I get so frustrated. Like dried mangoes for some way stick out to me. Love mangoes. But when you see it in a package, and I'm like, oh, I'll pick these up from the grocery store, the gas station, or whatever, if I need them. There's sugar in them, and I'm like, why? The
Yes.
mango itself is so delicious. You don't. It's so sweet and yummy.
Yeah.
You know, why are we putting sugar on there?
That's so true. Yeah, there's so many things that they add sugar to. Like even like sweet potato fries. I'm like, I buy them frozen from the store
Why?
and there's sugar added. I'm like, there's sweet potato fries. Why are you adding
We're
sugar? They're
so good.
sweet. Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's so frustrating. Like it doesn't need it. And I don't even think we need it, but they make us think that we need it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Do you think there's something to actually making it yourself too? Because I know for me, we started making a bunch of stuff from scratch at home, even biscuits, which are so simple to make, turns out. But you get a can of biscuits from the store and it's like 50 fucking ingredients in there for no
Yes.
reason. It's flour, butter, and milk. Like
Yes,
I
I
just feel
know.
more
It's
connected to maybe what I'm putting in my body and giving to my family when it's me
mhm.
making something from scratch.
Yeah, there's so many like added ingredients and like preservatives and stuff, and I don't even know what half the ingredients are. And yeah, like you said, making it from scratch makes you feel so much better about what you're eating and giving to your family. It's like, oh, I physically put these ingredients in here. There's like only three, So it's like if you feel so much, yeah, and your relationship with food, it just gets even better when you make it yourself.
Yeah. What's your
Yeah.
go-to, like, what's your staples to have whenever you, like, in your kitchen? What's your staples for, like, protein baking stuff? Like, what do we need to have in our kitchen to make
Oh, that's a good.
these treats?
Okay, so it's funny you asked me that because before I was like, so I guess it depends, but before I was not training in CrossFit, like the desserts I made always had full blown like real peanut butter. But and I still love it. Like, I still love peanut butter, but I noticed that a lot of people and I also know that the calories and the fat in peanut butter is really, really high. So to make it more like macro friendly, I started buying peanut butter powder and just to
Yeah.
like add in, that option for people who struggle with meeting their, fat goals, protein goals. Like it's hard because peanut butter is so good, but if you struggle
It's
with that,
so good.
yeah, it's so good. And I know how it is because I will overeat that kind of stuff. So if you're like really struggling and you don't have time to like, work out for 2 hours a day or whatever, then I do have so I have peanut butter, but I also have peanut butter powder. Those are like the two staple things. It used to just be peanut butter, but I added that one. And so it's like that option. And then I also always have like I always have oats. Like oats are good with like so many things. I try to have as many like if I can have any sort of bananas because it's funny if you mix like if you mash bananas and mix it with peanut butter, it literally is like it's so good. It's like a what am I trying to say, like a batter, like I don't know, it turns into
Oh.
like a cookie batter and it's just banana and peanut butter. So I feel like those are
So
like
that's your base for a lot of stuff. I noticed, like,
yeah, it's
mashed
usually like
bananas, peanut butter.
banana, peanut butter, and oats were like my three like biggest. And then protein powder. Yes, protein powder was like I started adding it to everything. Once I found like a company that had protein powder that was good for baking and everything, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Now I can just get in my protein every time I'm eating something, which is like, a big thing if you're a CrossFitter or if you want to be lean or tone down,
Yeah.
yeah, you want to get in protein as much as you can, or I mean it can be hard to meet those goals, so if you can get some in while you're eating like a dessert, then that's a win-win to
No
me.
brainer.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. I'm like, why wouldn't you add that? It's funny because people make, they talk crap about it. I'm like, hey, joke's on you, I'm enjoying my dessert just as much as you are, but I'm getting protein in.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah,
How many
yeah.
do you have, like, a goal of just like, okay, once a week I'm coming up with a new recipe? Like, how often are you kind of experimenting and throwing stuff together?
So it was like every day, and it sounds kind of insane. And the amount of like work and just like like baking that I've put into this, like if anyone lived in my house, they'd be like, "You're a crazy person." But I think it's like I think it works for me because I have like this addiction to finding like things that mix well together. I'm like, oh, I wonder if this would work. And then sometimes I'll be laying in bed, I'm like, I wonder if this would go well together. And so like I'll just like yeah, I'll just like think of something, and now I have like a list. Like I have a long list of things that I want to make, and it's just I don't even have enough time to make them all, but I usually make one. It was every single day. And then sometimes it turned into a fail, and so I was like, okay, I guess I'll just post my backup, or I'll make something really quick and then I'll post that. But then it turned into now it's like it was every day, and now it's like yeah, it's every other day. So it's like every 2 days I make something. Um, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a
That's
lot of
all. I mean,
patience.
keep it coming for me. This is great.
Yeah. Yeah. But
What's
obviously
been
when I had the food poisoning, that slowed me down a little. I took like 2 days off.
yeah. What's
I
been
couldn't
your
do it.
favorite recently?
Like my favorite recipe
Yeah.
or oh gosh. That's a good question. I mean, peanut butter is always like anything with chocolate and peanut butter is my go-to. Oh, one thing that I made, which I feel like it's funny because there's some of my videos I've taken off. I'm like, what the heck? It's gotten like hundreds of thousands of views. I'm like, dang. But then there's others and I'm like, this is underrated because this one was really good. But it's, you know how it is. It's all about the videography and whatever. But
Yeah.
it's just whatever takes off. But the one that I was like, this is so good was one of the things that I always liked that one of my friends made was chocolate covered, what am I trying to say? Oreo balls. So she would mash up Oreos with cream cheese and then just dip them in white
Oh,
chocolate. Yeah, I know.
oh,
And I was like, dang, even in my days where I was like trying to eat healthy, I was like, I can't resist these. These are so good. So
yeah,
I made a healthier version of them. I still used Oreos, but I used less. And then I used cocoa powder and cottage cheese, which sounds crazy, but cottage cheese actually goes really, really well with like stuff like that you're trying to make taste like cream cheese. So it was like Oreos, cottage cheese, and I used cocoa powder and then a little bit of maple syrup and what was the other ingredient? And then I added in protein powder. And I was like,
yes,
yeah, but it was like vanilla. It was like vanilla ice cream flavor. Like I said, the company I use is like, it's very good. So you don't like taste the protein. So yeah, I mixed all that together and then I dipped it in a little bit of like white chocolate and it tricks people. You think that you're eating like an Oreo ball, but you don't know that's
yeah.
cottage cheese and protein.
That sounds so good. Is that one still
Yeah.
up? Did you leave that one up?
Yeah, it's still there. Yeah, I can like send it to you or whatever.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll check that one right on out.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
last question.
If you like Oreos,
Of
and most people like,
course.
yeah, Oreos and like Reese's, those are like my two go-to favorite flavors. But yeah, those Oreo balls, I'm like, dang, these ones, people are missing out. These ones are really good. So
Reese's is just so good, and all the
it
little flavors
is.
that they do now, it's just so good.
Yeah, I know. It's that combination of just chocolate and peanut butter is so good.
What else do you need? You don't.
I know. Yeah. And when I was
I
a kid,
have you.
I would, oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
When I was a kid and we would go trick or treating, that was like my go-to candy was Reese's. I was like, Reese's.
Yeah.
You too?
Oh, yes. And do you think, because I think, and I had to tell my wife, and she's like, I guess that there's a difference between the tiny little fun size Reese's and then the full size, like,
Oh
I think
yeah.
there's a difference in the peanut butter that they use.
Yes. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so
see?
too.
You know.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
It's it's a little more almost crumbly in the fun size one.
Yeah, no, I noticed that too. It's like more dry or something.
It is, it is, it is. See, you
Yeah.
know, real ones know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And also at Costco, if you go to Costco, at least here in Texas, and I have to
Mm.
stay away from them, I have not bought them because I know that I will eat the whole bag. They have Reese's dipped animal crackers.
What?
Yes, they're
Reese's
these,
dipped animal
dude.
crackers?
It's like I think from because I can't even like look at the bag long enough. It's an animal cracker that they coat in peanut butter and then dip like ends of them in chocolate.
Oh, wow. That's
It's
smart.
it's so
Wow.
smart, so
Oh, yeah,
smart.
'cause you get the crunch too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
I can't believe
maybe
I'm
you have a
seeing
new
those.
idea. Maybe you
Yeah.
have a new
Ooh,
idea.
yeah.
You
Maybe I
come
can
up.
make a healthier version of that.
There
Interesting.
you
I
go.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love doing that too. I love finding something that's unhealthy. I'm like, I wonder if I can make like a healthy version of that.
for sure.
Yeah.
And then what you were saying earlier about like even what you do, it's so frustrating sometimes because I'm like, why do we need all those ingredients? Uh,
I know.
I see all
Yeah.
these recipes online where it's not those ingredients at all, and it's like, oh, well, that's silly. What are
I
we doing?
know. I know. I don't know why there's so many. And like, I was just talking to my friend about this. It's like, I don't know if it's to preserve it or what, but either way, it's not even like, a lot of it's just not even supposed to be eaten. Like, it's not natural food. It's not real
Yeah,
food. Yeah. I'm like, what am I eating? Like, we
yeah,
shouldn't be putting this in our bodies. Yeah.
yeah. I've realized that I think it's the chemicals and the preservatives that I think, at least for
Yeah.
me, make me feel just physically bad.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I bet that's a lot of it. It's just unnatural stuff that we're putting in our bodies. Like, Ugh,
Yeah.
just makes me think about how I got sick this week. But yeah, it's like it
Oh
just doesn't
man.
feel good. Anyway, I mean I guess that was a fluke thing, but yeah, it just doesn't no. I mean all those ingredients is a big reason why I don't like to like like buy store bought like things anymore. I just like
Yeah.
to do simple ingredients, and you can make something. People think that if you make it, it's going to be super complicated, but it doesn't have to be. You can make things really easily. Like you said, the biscuits that you guys make, they're not that complicated.
No, it's really not.
Yeah, and people think that it has to be so many ingredients and all this, all these steps, and a lot of cooking. Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way. People, I don't know, it's like it's a misunderstanding or something.
For sure.
Yeah,
Okay, last
yeah.
question. If you had
Okay.
to write a book, if you had to write a book, what would you write it on?
So it's funny. I've already written 2 books, but they're not very. I wouldn't.
Let's go, dude. What are they about?
Well, so the first one I wrote during COVID, and I think this is why I've done like started this healthy dessert page, because I've always wanted to like help people, but I wrote it during COVID when I wasn't I was still training for CrossFit, so I wasn't fully connected with people, but I wrote the book on how to work out without equipment, and it's on Amazon. It's not like a published,
That's
it's not, I
awesome.
mean, yeah, it's just on Amazon. It's not like a physical book, but you can like, it's like an ebook or whatever. But yeah, and I was like super inspired. I was like, you can totally work out without going into a gym, and I like did like a step-by-step thing and how to like get your body into working out. I think I was inspired by my friend's mom, who she had a lot of like disabilities, and I
Mm,
was like helping her get into it, and I was like showing her, I'm like, you don't have to do a full-blown, squat. You can just, sit to a chair and then stand up and do that over and over. I was just like trying to show people different ways. So I kind of wrote the book based off of that, and it was during COVID. So yeah, so that was the first one, and then the second one I wrote is a recipe book. So I
yes.
yeah, so it has like a lot of my original like or newer recipes. It does have the ones I was talking to you about, the Rice Krispies in there,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, and then some like a bunch of simple ones like some like 2 ingredient cookies, like things like that.
Yes.
And I wrote it a while ago, and the thing is, I want to write another one because I think I've gotten a lot better since then. I'm like, I feel like
Oh,
I could,
yeah.
yeah, because this was years ago, and now I've had way more experience, and I've created way more, recipes. And so if I were to write another one, it would be another recipe book. But I've also thought about maybe making I don't know if these are out there, but I've thought about making a recipe book that like um separates it by like macros. I don't know. I
Oh,
think like
yeah. Okay.
yeah, like maybe like if you're more of like a high fat diet or high protein or high carb, like you would separate, or you would maybe have or what's the word, like I don't know, just like separate your make categories in your book based off of the macros. So it'd be like for people that are, tracking their macros and have different
Yeah.
goals. So I was like thinking about that. I'm like, I haven't really seen anything like that. So
No, that's super
yeah.
smart. I think that would do really well.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, you're my first, you can be my first book reader
I'll buy
person.
it. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, my first customer. Cool.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for coming on. For real, I
Oh
love
my
talking to
gosh.
you.
Yeah, that was awesome. I'm sorry I was like a few minutes late, but that was
Oh, no
great.
worries at all. No worries at
Good.
all. My oldest goes to dance, so this is like my podcast time. It's like Wednesday
Uh,
morning, like while she's at the
oh,
house. Yeah.
that makes sense why you're like Wednesday at this time. Yeah, that makes
Yep.
sense.
Yep. It's my one time usually. So
Oh,
thank
cool.
you.
And I don't even know if you told me, where are you at again? Where are you located?
Oh, I'm in outside of Dallas.
Outside of Dallas. Oh, you're in Texas. Okay.
Yep. Yep. In
Cool.
Texas.
Awesome.
Yep. Here we are.
Oh, well, awesome. It was
Um,
nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you. I will send you because I usually clip it, make some
Yeah.
clips, and I'll send them off to you for you to post if you want. No pressure.
Oh, yeah,
But
of
yeah,
course. Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's
awesome.
a lot. It's a lot to go through these things. Like we talked for like an hour.
Yeah. I cheat usually. There's this Riverside, what we're on right now, has an AI program that
Oh.
you pay premium for it, and it's kind of weird sometimes, but at least gives you like an idea of like, oh right, we did talk about that. Let me go in there and like
Oh,
figure it
that's
out.
so smart. It's called
Yeah,
Riverside?
Riverside. Yeah,
Oh, I'm gonna write that down because I might need that
yeah,
for what I do.
yeah. It's honestly, if you record like long format, like it transcribes it for you. AI does it.
Oh,
You can
wow.
just search a word and take it out, or that's what you want to clip, like that
That's
area.
awesome. That's so
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, so it makes it a lot easier for people like, I don't know, Photoshop or
Yeah.
whatever videographer people use. So yeah, it's been
Yeah.
awesome.
No, that's so cool. Oh, cool. I'm definitely gonna look that up.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'll send you those clips probably maybe
Okay.
this weekend.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. And I'll send you
Awesome.
the Oreo thing.
Oh yeah, do it.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
All right, bye, Brian.
Bye, Kimberly.